that badass little kids and a creepy ass clown could be so entertaining. Hey everyone, it's Sharna from Pay or Wait, and today I'm going to be reviewing It. So, before I even get started with this whole review, I just want to make sure that everyone's expectations are where they need to be. It is not a remake of the 1990s miniseries that came on TV. Let me repeat. It is not a remake of the miniseries that came on television in the 1990s. This is actually an adaptation of Stephen King's novel that was written in 1986. So I just want to make sure that all your expectations are there, that you're not thinking, oh, I thought this was like a remake of the miniseries. It's not, okay? Novel adaptation. Now that we're like together, we're clear, we're like on the same page, let's get into like my thoughts on the film. So one of the differences that I did realize is that from the adaptation of the novel, this film actually takes place in the 80s instead of the 50s where the novel takes place. So you have a lot of 80s references, a lot of New Kids on the Block references. So if a lot of you guys don't know their music, you're gonna miss a couple of the jokes in the film, but hopefully you'll get it because people are kind of slow in my film and it took them like a couple of minutes. Probably the person next to them who was a little bit older is like, yeah, this is where it came from. They're like, oh, ha ha ha. So basically it is the story of 7 kids who kind of all come together. They form the Losers Club, and it kind of spans over the summer after one of the main characters, Bill, loses his brother Georgie, and they basically set out to try to figure out why all of these adults, and especially why are all of these kids going missing. And as they kind of research it, they see that this has been a reoccurring trend in the town of Derry, which they all reside in. So basically the reason why everyone's gone missing and why there's been mysterious deaths is due to a supernatural being who basically takes the form of a child's worst fear. One of the main resemblances of this supernatural being will be Pennywise, the clown that you'll see throughout the film. So for me, I thought that Bill Skarsgård did a very good job on his take of Pennywise. I think that his take is a little bit different, especially since this is a rated R film, so that there's gore, there's more scares, even like his like the when he turns evil, like that's even more scary for me. And I think he did a good job. You know, it's really hard because a lot of people are like, no one can outdo Tim Curry, like he was the best and no one can do it. And it's just like, this is a different type of film. There's more that they can do with the movie. This is just a gory horror film. This is made for theaters. This wasn't made for TV like it was in the 90s, and it stays a little bit truer to what the novel was. So I thought he did a good job. There were some of my friends, they didn't really care for his performance. I thought that his take was more of like an adult scary child at the same time. He had more of like the typical clown features, especially when he like went into like the It version. It was like more scary than what we saw from Tim Curry in the miniseries. And I think that he did a great job. Like he did a great take on what he felt that Pennywise should be, and I think that overall the audience will be satisfied with his performance. Now, let's get on to the kids. So I love the kids in this movie. Like, these kids are actually hilarious. You know, sometimes when you watch kids in movies, they can be kind of annoying at times, and it's almost just like, like, can we get to the scary parts? But they were hilarious. Like, these kids were raunchy, like the jokes they were telling. My favorite would have to be Finn Wolfhard, who you know from Stranger Things, who plays Richie in the film. Like, the jokes he had, I was just like, sir, where did you learn all of these jokes? Like, this is too much. Like, is this what 13-year-olds were doing back in the day? Because I don't remember making jokes like that. And I think that Sophia, Liz, however you say her name, Sophia, she plays Beverly. I really enjoy her character because it had more of, I wouldn't say feminist, but she was a tomboy, but she was actually, you know, she had no fear, you know, outside of, you know, when the clown was terrorizing her, or however her form manifested to scare her as her fear, but I really enjoyed her character, and it really makes me interested to see like who will play her when they switch to the adult version of it. Now, one of the things that I didn't like about the film, I thought the bullying was too much. I was like, oh my gosh, like these kids are like gonna grow up to be serial killers. Like, I know like bullies aren't right, but I didn't think they were this like extreme. In the movie, I was just like, these badass little kids need to be in jail. Like, where are these people's parents? Like, these kids would have been on the news for being like just murdered by somebody's parent, knowing what they were doing to these little kids. And one of the things that I also didn't like would have to be, so the pacing of the film is like good for like the first part of it. You know, I did like that this is about the kids. Like, this is about the Losers Club. So you get to learn a little bit more about the characters, which helps you connect a little bit more to them as their younger selves. But I did think towards the end of the film, what it kind of should have got into like, okay, this should be like fast-paced horror, like it should keep coming because we're getting close to the end. I was just like, like it's about time to wrap this up because I'm getting tired. Like, I'm not like that scared anymore. And this runs about 2 hours and 15 minutes, and compare it to the mini series, which I just watched it on Monday. It was like 3 hours for me to get through the whole thing. I still felt like they could have took a little bit out of it, and it still would have had the same effect with the audience as well. Now, for all of you who are wondering, is this movie scary? So I'm a scary cat, so like I'm scared easily. And to the ladies who are on both sides of me, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry, because I definitely jumped on them a couple of times, and I was that person like scaring, like, you know, yelling, screaming, whatever. And it had those moments. I do think that for people who are expecting like a really scary horror film, I don't think that is going to be as scary. But I think that's because we're talking about childhood fears. Like, I'm not afraid of clowns. So me seeing this clown, he's not scary because he's a clown. He's just scary because he's like creepy and has all these weird teeth and trying to kill people. It's too much. And I didn't find the miniseries version scary either. I do think that's probably due to the fact that I didn't watch this when I was younger. You know, I kind of just watched it as an adult. But I think people will be kind of mixed as it was scary, but I think overall people won't say it like, oh my gosh, like this is such a scary film. But I think it's effective for what it is. I left the theater feeling pretty excited. I think they did a very, very good job, especially with most of these remakes or these new novel adaptations. They typically don't turn out well for the audience. I thought it was a good job. Like, for me, I would tell people to go pay to see this film in theaters. I think especially given the box office that we've seen from the past month of August, I think this is a great start towards the end of the year and seeing a lot of films that, you know, audiences are anticipating to see. So for me, like, I'm excited. I can't wait to see who they choose to cast for, you know, the older adult version of it. I mean, we pretty much know there's going to be greenlit for a sequel, so I don't think there's any alluding to if they get greenlit or not. But I loved it. So that's my thoughts on the movie It. As always, my name is Sharonda. If you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share your thoughts on the film, on what you thought, and who would you like to see play the adult versions of the children, and I will see you soon.